this is Josh. He runs a lovely coffee shop in Middlesbrough town centre called Off the Ground. And I come in and drink a lot of coffee. Josh has got a lot of good ideas and a lot of thoughts on businesses, I guess, and things that aren't as boring as businesses. I just thought it'd be nice to sit down and have a chat with you. Yeah. That's all right. I'm not the Teesside Business Podcast, so I'm not going to just talk about...
Profit, turnover.
Yeah, accumulation. Is that a business term?
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, profit accumulation.
I've got a clue what I'm doing.
How long's Off the Ground been open now?
We opened...
Just move that a bit closer to you, but don't worry about it.
That's fine. Edit that bit out, right?
Nah.
We opened in March 2017.
Okay.
So about 18 months we've been open.
Yeah.
Got the keys in August 2016.
Right.
However, I was working on it for a while before that.
Yeah.
Trying to get premises, writing a business plan, doing market research and stuff. So I've probably really been at it now for 3.5 years, which is crazy, isn't it, really?
Mental, yeah. I think I mentioned before that obviously I met you and your previous business partner, whose name I can't remember. But is that the equation now, so it doesn't matter?
Yeah.
What's it called?
Brad.
Brad, that was it, yeah.
I was going to make up a name, like some kind of like ridiculous name so people would laugh. But no.
Steve Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was to hit the bar, and I used to see you both coming from like a day of like pure physical grafting here.
I mean,
you both looked dog tired, like just exhausted, covered in pain. Like I remember you saying, like, yeah, we're opening up like this cool coffee shop in town, and I remember thinking, fucking hell, you're putting the graft in. I know a lot of people that have opened a lot of businesses all over the country, but I don't think they've necessarily put the graft in themselves as much as you have. They've been there, they've been stressed, and they've been shouting at contractors on the phone. But they weren't building these tables like you did. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How many times have I told you that now?
Well, on the last podcast that I did where my game messed up, then yeah, you told me then. But I'd be proud of it. And then we kind of said before, you know, like there's something that comes with like putting your stamp on the place. You know what I mean? So you must feel nice.
Yeah, I don't sit and reflect very much about it.
Yeah.
But on the odd chance, sometimes I'll have a sit down at the end of my shift and sit for a couple of hours and like actually think about it, and like it doesn't really feel real. The fact that we did this place and made this look like this. Yeah. We just made it up as we went along. Yeah. And I think like the everyman, if you like, thinks business people like know stuff. Yeah. But in my experience, all the business people I've got to know since we opened, we just make it up as we go along.
Swinging it.
And you know, it's just about having the bravery to just crack on and if you do it wrong, then try something else. Yeah. You know, so like I'd never built a table in my life until whichever one of these I did first. You know, ever. I'd never even thought about how do you build a table. I just got some wood and like had a go. And that was the same with all of it. Like all of in here, the brickwork, like the counter. Yeah. Everything. So
cool. I'd be proud. I understand though, and I think it comes with, you know, like when you're a kid and you look at grown-ups and you're like, they must have their shit together.
Oh yeah.
And then like, I guess I'm technically a grown-up on paper. I pay my bills, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm still a bit like, oh yeah, everyone else has got the shit together. Yeah.
Like, so when you
like, do they know what's the secret? Because I still haven't found it yet. You know what I mean? Like nobody's told me.
You think your parents know things? And you ask them all these questions, don't you, when you're younger? And like, they haven't got a clue. Yeah. No idea, and you just think they know everything. And I think as you get older, like no one has a clue. Even like, there's probably 1% of the population have been doing their job for long enough that they know what they're doing. Yeah. And are like thoroughly reliable, and everybody else is just having a go. Yeah. You know.
I think it's funny because the more you know, the more you realise there is to know. You know what I mean? The more things you think about, you're like, the more, you know, from carpentry to how phones work to, you know, like, you just like, you can't know everything. And the more you think about it, the more you realise, you know what I mean?
It's got deep quickly, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But there's also, like, there was a short time where I've had quite a strange life in terms of my professional career. Winged a lot of it. Had a lot of fun, you know what I mean? And tried loads of different things. And by doing that, I often meet lots of interesting people like you that just kind of figured it out. And you know, photographers, whoever, just people that just kind of like have a go. And I just almost forgot that like jobs exist that keep it grinding. You know, there's people like sat in the council that got up today and went there for 9 o'clock and were like, I don't know what they're doing. What do they do? Just press buttons and keep the infrastructure going. Like,
yeah, like I've never had a 9-to-5 job in my life,
right?
Ever, and I can't imagine doing it. And
Yeah,
sometimes I wish I did, because then I could socialise more at reasonable hours. And, you know, and see people. I have friends who do those jobs who like keep shit going.
Yeah,
like the real
work for the grid.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, let's call it
work for the grid. Yeah, and like I kind of wish I did do that, and I kind of wish I was just part of this massive humanity sometimes, you know, and just moving along in the same direction as everybody else.
Yeah.
But then, and that must be like easy. That must be, obviously people have different lives, but it's not necessarily easy. But it feels like it must be easy just to get up and go to work, do the same thing, come home, and like this, because this doing this, like making your own way is like every day is different. And there's probably a lot more failure than there is if you just go and do that. So, yeah,
it's very hard, but from what I've seen in the very brief stints I've had in monotonous jobs, I guess I feel people perhaps like you, you might find that you'd struggle in that sort of environment. Whereas I when I have worked in jobs like that, I kind of turn up to my desk and be like, I just don't want to dedicate 8 hours to the hive mind, let's call it. It was Virgin Media, but they do a great job. I love my internet, you know what I mean? But it just wasn't for me.
They're done for me. Sorry.
It's fine. I don't work for him, so I don't give a shit. But I gave less of a shit while I did work for him. But I think it's just hard to kind of do that, to clock in and out. It's easy for some people now. I almost feel like ignorance is bliss, because if you're just like happy doing that, I'm almost like, oh, that'd be amazing. I'd probably be on 50 grand a year, just like pressing buttons on it, doing whatever in 9 to 5, showing people spreadsheets and analytics and stuff and pointing to a flip chart. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and like I said, I talk about these jobs like they're just...
I was going to say, I feel like we're devaluing like 99% of people here. But
Yeah. My people just fucking deleting the podcast as we speak. But
unsubscribe.
Because I've spent so long, I guess, in creative industries, I almost forgot that those jobs were real things. And sometimes I guess I struggle to relate to people like that, because I just kind of want to grab hold of them and be like, do something. Like, just whatever it is, do anything, open up a coffee shop, fucking, I don't know, go and fight in MMA, maybe not that, but like...
If people didn't know that you did anything like that, they'd be like, what is he on about?
Yeah, what a crazy bastard. But yeah, I just think there's something to be said for passion and passion projects. To do it, to jump in like you have and to kind of make it your life and your living is another thing in itself, so I think you could be quite proud of that.
Then again, to play devil's advocate,
Mm-hmm.
we as a coffee shop would never survive were it not for those people who came and bought our coffee.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
very
and
true.
like someone who's doing a podcast wouldn't necessarily be successful without those people who are watching.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think, I don't know if people like are meant to do these like two different kind of, some people have like a need to go and like find their own way and do something themselves. Some people don't want to, like, rightly so. Like, some people just want to crack on and like,
2.4 children and
live for the weekend a little bit. And I wish, like, last time I haven't had a day off on a weekend for ever since we were open. Like, I'm kind of jealous a little bit. So there's pros and cons to both, I suppose, isn't there?
Yeah.
Don't want to devalue anyone's like choices. Yeah.
I mean, on paper, I'm salaried and I work 9 to 5. You know what I mean? But the realities of the job itself are very different, and I work like crazy hours. But the hours that I'm not kind of like working with Mike on a business.
Mike.
Yeah. Mike the boss.
Sorry, Mike.
I'm doing things like this and or shooting music videos and stuff with like, and sometimes I'm like, oh, it would be nice to just go home
and watch Coronation Street.
Yeah. that like, it's funny you mentioned that. and this podcast is.
We've gone a bit of a tangent, haven't we?
Yeah, I love it though. It's great. Like that whole kind of Coronation Street vibe. Try not to upset anyone that watches Coronation Street, but that I guess that probably kind of sums up like the point that I make. I feel it's probably an older generational thing now, but just that kind of like get on, put the kettle on, have your tea, sit, watch Coronation Street, go to bed, get up. Yeah.
That's definitely true. Like the economy now is not like it was. Like you used to leave school, didn't you? Get a job, and you had that job for life.
In the factories, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like my dad was a steel worker, and his dad was a steel worker. I don't know about his dad, but he was probably a steel worker as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not. Our economy's not like that anymore. Like you get a job for 5 years.
Yeah.
Something changes, and then like politics will change massively. Like we've just been talking about before this podcast about social media, it's completely changing everything.
Yeah.
And then someone will get another job, and then a few years later, that whatever they're doing won't be needed anymore, and then they'll get something else. So it's just different time, isn't it?
It's funny, like social media itself. It exists, and I don't think there's any stopping it. I think as people we should be a bit more aware of what we do with it. But like I work in social media marketing, you know what I mean, and it's like I create content for it. So I'm like, it's created like a really strange economy that some people haven't switched on to, and others haven't, you know what I mean? But 15 years ago, my job just wasn't a thing. So yeah, I remember my just when you mentioned about your dad and your granddad. My granddad worked on the shipyard, and then worked his way up all his life, and ended up with quite a good job. And then my dad worked on the shipyard, and then kind of got out of it and went into sales. And I'd done something when I was a teenager that I shouldn't have done. I can't remember what it was because I'd done a lot of things I shouldn't do when I was a teenager. But my dad got in the car with me and he drove me over to Portrack and drove past the shipyards, and he was like, basically, do you want to work there for the rest of your life? And I was like, no, not really. And he was like, well, you need to fucking sort your life out, because if you keep doing all whatever it was, I probably just stayed out late one night. But he was like, you need to get your shit together. That's your future. Or get your shit together, go to college, go to university or whatever, do podcasts, which obviously didn't
exist. Did he say that?
No, he didn't. Yeah. What a visionary.
Yeah.
So what a little bit about obviously me and you, I guess, have already been over this, but the ethos around the coffee shop, which I know you're not one to kind of like shout from the rooftops about your achievements and the things that you've done. If you're probably the opposite. Your kind of ethos around Off the Ground. I like spending my money here because the coffee's really nice and the service is really good and everybody's really nice to me. And I can come in and have a chat with you, and I'd like to say we're friends now, and I've known Dan for a long time, and you don't get that from many coffee shops, full stop. But there's also, I have a little bit of knowledge that X amount from my pounds that I spend here go towards a good thing. I'm going to tell everyone a little bit about kind of where that ethos came from and what you do, I guess. Is that when you're at uni in Sheffield?
Yeah. When I was at uni, I came across this charity / social enterprise, registered charity, but a social enterprise really.
Yeah.
Which sent students and graduates abroad to volunteer or to do internships in big companies. There was two kind of separate programs.
Yeah.
And I'd never even heard the word social enterprise before.
Yeah.
And they got me really, really interested in it because I got into that from going on one of their experiences. Had an amazing time in Colombia in 2012. It was a class. And it completely changed, I think, the direction that my life was going in.
Yeah.
And I came back and I thought, I want to be able to provide people with exactly the same experience that I've had. I feel like I need to give back a little bit, so I'll go and join and I'll help them out. And ended up running that little branch of ISEC, it was called.
Okay.
It still is called.
Yeah.
Like a few years later, and became really passionate about a social enterprise. Like you can do business, and someone can take home a load of money. Or you can do business, and that person can take home slightly less money and create massive change in a community.
Yeah.
And provide a real, good service to the people who give you money in the first place. So I started learning a lot about social enterprise, and I knew at that point, I think, that was something I wanted to do. I didn't know how, I didn't know what. I still don't really know. I'm just kind of feeling my way through, I suppose.
Yeah.
So we are a social enterprise now because of that.
Yeah.
So my mind has gone blank.
Yeah, no, sorry, we were talking about how kind of like how you got to here, I guess, and the things that Off the Ground does. So social enterprise, what is a social enterprise on paper for those that might not know?
Well, there are loads of different ways social enterprises can operate. At the moment, there's kind of like one main legal structure called the Community Interest Company that we're going to be converting to actually quite soon.
Okay.
And it's like a halfway house between a charity and between a for-profit business.
Right.
The idea is that in order to do good and be able to give something back to your community, you need to be able to make money just like a for-profit business.
Right. Which makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So the profit motive is something that's really powerful.
Yeah.
And if, it creates a massive change in the world. And that's what we do, really, I suppose. We compete with other coffee shops in the area, but we do good stuff for our community. So I'll talk about that now, I suppose. So I wanted to start by doing something for the homeless. There's loads of things around the world, loads of problems that need solving. And there's loads of things that we could have based this coffee shop around. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, I'm from Middlesbrough, and our shop is in Middlesbrough, and it makes the most sense, I think, if people are giving their money to us here, that we kind of at least try and give back to Middlesbrough. It's kind of a cyclical thing. Yeah. And at the time when we were opening, and now, homelessness and poverty are two massive issues in this town. Yeah. It's not just here; it's all around the country and all around the world. Obviously, in the world, it's completely different contexts. But Middlesbrough suffers a lot more than most of this country. Yeah. So that made complete sense. So we thought, right, we'll open this coffee shop. We'll be a social enterprise. We want to give back. Probably the most apt and relevant way we can give back at the moment is by helping people who are on the streets. Yeah. So that's what we do, and that's what we've been doing since the start. We run a soup kitchen on a Sunday afternoon where we give away soup, sandwiches, cake, any drinks off the menu that the guys who come want. Anyone can come. It's completely open, but most of the people are like living chaotic lifestyles. Yeah, living in some kind of managed accommodation. Yeah. Some of them on the streets, but there actually aren't that many people sleeping on the streets. Right. But you're still homeless if you haven't got a permanent home, and there's a lot and lots and lots of people who don't. Yeah.
And there's problems that come with, it's obviously great if you can get off the streets, but there's still not ideal scenarios, you know what I mean? People have beds, but that's about it, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And a lot of time it's shared accommodation, living in close quarters with people that, if you're recovering from like a potential drug addiction, or not to generalise, but there might be other people there that are taking drugs, and it's such a vicious cycle.
Absolutely. There's probably... I don't want to put a number on it really, but I would say 2/3, if not 3/4, if not more, of the people who come to our soup kitchen, I'll call it, either have issues with substance abuse or have had issues with substance abuse and are in recovery. And it is a massive issue, if you're trying to get off a certain kind of drug and then you go and stay in the shared accommodation, everybody else is on it. Yeah. Like, what the likelihood that you're going to stick to that path? Yeah. Like, there's almost no chance. Yeah. And that's what the situation is like, and it's really hard to turn people's lives around. We're not here necessarily to, try and do that, but people who are living, who are homeless or in that kind of circumstance, they never wanted this in the first place. They don't wake up in the morning and think, I'm gonna go out and get absolutely off my head and do things that I know if I was of sound mind at the moment I would regret. Yeah. They don't think that. They're just going through this completely chaotic moment in their lives, and there are people who get through it and end up being completely normal members of society again. But those people who do kind of re-enter normal society don't necessarily talk about it. People are ashamed. There's a lot more people who've gone through homelessness and addiction and have come back to the real world and no one even knows. Yeah. Which is pretty crazy when you think about it. Yeah. And so we just provide a bit of comfort and a bit of warmth and a bit of decent food for them, really. And most soup kitchens there's loads of places you can get free food every week in Middlesbrough, which is really great, and our community really bands together. But some of them are not devaluing them or anything, but some of them are like just in underpasses or stood in car parks, and you stand in a queue and you get your like slops essentially in like a cardboard container. And but in here, people come in, they sit down, we serve them at the table, we take their orders, we take stuff out. Like, it's only like a sandwich and some soup, but it's a bit more dignified, I think. Some people get dressed up to come here. You know what I mean? Like, which I think is amazing. It's sad in a way.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's lovely.
Yeah, and I think that's what we do is a good thing. There's, I'm happy about it. There's loads more we'd love to do. As you mentioned earlier, my business partner in the first place left a year in and really kind of dropped us in it financially. I kind of had to rejig a lot of things. And that means we haven't been able to do as much and as many kind of projects and stuff that we've wanted to do. So we're still just, doing this, handing stuff out, and it doesn't create massive change, but it does help. And we're intending on building on that. We've got a couple of things in the pipeline at the moment which are really exciting. Ben, who's taking photographs here, his girlfriend's runs
Ben's here, everybody.
Hi, Ben. He runs his girlfriend runs a social enterprise run by students at the university called Enactus. And they're working on a community fridge, and I'm trying to help them out as much as possible. Hopefully we'll have a community fridge up and running where businesses in the town can, if they've got waste, well, not waste food, we call it surplus food, because it's not waste. The surplus food can be put in that fridge and people can take it, anybody who needs it. Even if these people don't have to be homeless or anything, but it's better than going in the bin. It's waste, it's surplus food at the end of the day. And there's loads of supermarkets, loads of small businesses, and loads of individuals actually who have food, perfectly good food that gets thrown away. And this is one solution, I suppose, to getting food to people who need it without having to reintroduce new food into the system. So that's a really cool thing. That's really exciting, and there's loads of those have started up around the country in the last kind of 2 years. Before that, I don't think there was any, and the first one was in Brixton, I think, and the next one was in Bristol.
Makes
Two
sense.
Kind of really well known, like up and coming, progressive areas. And people have kind of kicked on after that, and kind of coordinated a little bit by a charity called Hubbub. But community fridges are ace. Like, if you don't know anything about them, look into them. But we're trying to start one off.
I'll have a look.
Cool.
Because it's it's so hard for people to give something back sometimes, I think, and I'm guilty of it, where I walk up and down that road most days, to the point where I know some of the homeless people or less fortunate people. I know some of them by name. Some of them says hello to the dogs.
Sorry.
It's all right. From wherever you kind of your standpoint is, you're always kind of thinking, well, we've all got bills to pay. We'd all like to give X amount of money to whatever, but you think, well, I need to cover my own ass. I think is what a lot of people are thinking, which is totally fine. So then to kind of, and it's hard to know what the right thing is to do sometimes. If you are trying to help the community, I guess sometimes you think, well, where the fuck do you start, really? Because there's so much stigma around charities. I don't know anything about the ins and outs of how they work, but people say, like, oh, don't give your money to Red Cross, because actually if you give them a tenner, 50 pence of it actually goes to the cause, the rest of it goes towards admin fees. Again, I'm not skilled enough to know if that's true or not, so I'm not even going to get into that. You might know a little bit more than
something
me.
I'm really passionate about.
Okay. It's hard, but something like a community fridge, I feel like, especially me, I could get behind. Like, if I knew there was one somewhere in Middlesbrough, every week I kind of do the food shopping with Lottie or whatever. I'm aware enough to think, right, I'll get some bits to kind of put in there. Or, if stuff's just kind of been in your cupboards for a while, you can go, well, yeah, there's someone that might need that a little bit more than me. So that's really cool.
Exactly. It's really easy to kind of get behind, really easy to understand for people, isn't it? I think so. I really want to plug something that has nothing to do with me.
Go for it.
Like something, like I said, I'm really interested about social enterprise. This is a class TED talk called "Why the Way We Think About Charity Is Dead Wrong," by a guy called Dan Pallotta. And he made hundreds of millions of dollars for AIDS and cancer charities in the US. Really amazing guy. proper inspirational, and you watch him, like, you know, he could tell you anything and you believe it to some extent. But he's so great. He's done amazing stuff. And this TED Talk is all about like the way we think about the way charities spend money. Yeah. So people, charities usually advertise like, oh, well, you know, if you give us a tenner, like, we can guarantee you that £10 is going to go directly to the cause. Okay. And if you think about it, like, that's like a little bit stupid. Like, you should spend that £10 on advertising, really. Okay. That advertising could make you £1,000. Right. You know, and then the £1,000 goes to the cause. So what would you rather? You know, that's an extreme example. Yeah. But charities try and keep their costs as low as possible. But because they keep the costs as low as possible, they're really inhibited from growing as much as like a for-profit business can. Yeah. You know, Amazon, I don't think returned any dividends to its shareholders for 5 years. Okay. Because all the shareholders believed in their like aim to grow their market share and invest all that money that they'd made back into the company to grow it. And like, imagine 10 years time. Yeah. Imagine if you gave £10 to Oxfam and they said, oh, well, we're not going to do anything for 5 years. We're just going to spend all this money on growing Oxfam until in 5 years' time we can give, you know, £1 billion a year. Like, everyone would be like, get lost, you know? So that charities are at a disadvantage that they can't use the consumer pounds like businesses can. This talk is all about this kind of thing. Yeah. Really, really interesting.
I think we touched on it before in that there's that whole stigma about like making profit for a charity is seen as a bad thing, and you know, on a smaller scale, like a business like yourself, like you've got to think like a business to exist, and you've got to do things like you're saying, if you just gave all of the money that you got from this place to a charity or to the homeless people in Middlesbrough or whatever, then you wouldn't function as a business. So then further down the line, there's no like it's already like a great thing that you're thinking like that and that you are doing like positive change. So like you say, it makes total sense to then kind of reinvest that money. Yeah.
Like we could spend half the amount on our coffee, and we you know, and on our cakes and stuff that we get from Songbird Bakery. Shout out. But if we did, people wouldn't come here and drink our coffee and eat our cakes, and then we wouldn't make any money, and then we wouldn't be able to give any of that money to a good cause, you know? Like, so, like, but, you know, people think, oh, this is like a kind of a charitable kind of enterprise, like, do everything on the cheap. Yeah. Like, but that doesn't actually make any sense. So it's a balance to try and be hard, you know? Yeah. So, I find it really exciting and stimulating, to be honest. Balance these things and what's morally right, and
and like you said, like kind of everything that every kind of pound you spend here on things generally is thought out and done as ethically as you can as well, isn't it? Absolutely. Things like the coffee beans that you buy, where they come from. You know, I get these amazing cards when I buy the coffees and find out where they came from, who grew them. You know what I mean? And instead of just going wherever and drinking some fucking Nescafe. Yeah. And like coffee itself is obviously like this crazy industry now, which I never bought into until this place opened.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, I remember, right, when Starbucks first opened in the town centre. Have I told you the story?
No, I don't think so.
So I remember when Starbucks opened, right, and I didn't really know what it was, and at the time I think I was a student. I lived in Leeds, but I used to work for 10 Feet Tall. I used to come home like kind of every other weekend to do bits for 10 Feet Tall. Kind of knew that when I finished uni, I had a job there if I put the time in between. So, and I wanted to work there because it was a cool place. And I was out flying one day, and it opened. It hadn't been open long, and the girl I was flying with said, "Oh, do you want to like go to Starbucks and get a coffee?" And I was like, all right, because I'd never done it before. I'd never gone for a coffee. It was just an alien like thing to me, you know. So I went and I looked at the confusing board and said, I just picked the cheapest thing, which was an espresso, because I had fucking no money. So I said, I'll have an espresso, please. And they're like, yeah, like however much. And she'd got, you know, like a grand latte or something. And then she sat there with my like
tiny little
my espresso, and I was like, well, I've done this wrong. You know what I mean? I was like, I should have paid an extra £1 and had something that at least came in like a decent sized cup. And I drank my espresso in about 3 seconds. Didn't really like the taste of it, and I was then just sat there and watched her finish the coffee, and then went back out flying again. But I was like, I didn't really understand it. And then as I got older, I understood it, and I kind of knew what it was, and have drank coffee. But I like, well, the coffee is good here, it tastes nice, and you've turned me into a coffee snob in that if I go to other places, generally I probably won't drink a coffee, because now I'm like, if I'm going to drink a coffee, I drink a nice one and it's from here and it's gorgeous, or like some sort of independent kind of roasters if I'm in a different city or whatever.
Yeah, good.
But it's nice, and there's kind of like that other thing, like I say, like I find out, I'm obsessed with knowing like why things exist and where they come from, and how my current driving instructor is like explained it to me, and I hadn't really thought about it, because she was like, everybody else just learns. She was like, you kind of are just inquisitive, I guess. So when I get these little cards, I'm like, oh, that's where my coffee's from, I like that, and I can think about it. But like I said, and the bonus is the coffee's really good, you know what you're doing, and if it wasn't, I'd be a bit like, I should have just go somewhere else for a coffee if I wanted one, you know what I mean? Yeah. So you're dead right in that by creating a good product and thinking about it and spending a little bit of money on it, instead of thinking, I need to save it to give it to X amount, you actually end up with a much more viable thing with a much longer lifespan, with something that would probably be for the next 25 years, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's really interesting you should mention Starbucks, actually, because, you know...
Ben works at Starbucks.
Yeah. But in specialty coffee, you know, Starbucks have got a bad name.
Yeah.
And even in society at the moment, they have a bad name because they don't pay their taxes, which is wrong.
Right.
But if it wasn't for Starbucks, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Starbucks, when they came, they call it the second wave of coffee, essentially. Right. They came here and opened like hundreds of stores in the end. And then Costa did the same thing. Yeah. Cafe Nero did the same thing, and they all competed with each other. Yeah. And the coffee industry grew as a whole. Yeah. If Starbucks had never done that, and people in Middlesbrough didn't start drinking coffee, then there probably wouldn't have been a space for us to kind of take the next step from them. Yeah. So yeah, as much as like they're kind of berated, like all the specialty coffee industry slag them off, but it's like, well, yeah, we wouldn't be here.
You might not have. Yeah. So, and if it wasn't got Starbucks, it would just been someone else would have done it. You know what I mean? Yeah,
true, yeah. But they've had a really important role to play in the emergence of shops like ours.
Yeah,
so I have like a really like weird kind of thought process towards them, you know, in one end.
It's like they've created. It's like, you know, Facebook, isn't it? Like I said, like on a similar scale where like you go, well, yeah, I'm one for talking about the evils of social media a lot. In terms of regulating and stuff, but again, as I've already said, I wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for it, and where would I put something like a podcast? You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't exist. Like if we go back 20 years, you know, like it's what you get is what's on TV, and that's it. So it's a strange old world we live in, isn't it? Yeah. So what's next for Off the Ground? What's kind of like your vision for it, I guess, in the next, if you ideal situation in a couple of years, if you want to say?
Oh, it's exciting.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not at the end of the day, I'm not a rich person. I've never been a rich person, and all the money that we used to open this place was borrowed.
Right.
So at the moment, and for the first like 3 years, we're like 18 months in now, like we have debilitatingly high repayments for loans. So there's always just a tiny bit left, which is what I'm saying. It's like it's not easy to give as much as we'd like to. Yeah. They're sitting equally, so it's not as easy to grow as you would also like to. So there's loads and loads of ideas that we have. First of all, you know, we've been open 18 months, and the only food that we do is toasties and soup. Like we're in the middle of. In about 3 weeks, we'll have a new food menu, which is quite exciting. Yeah. It's absolutely terrifying because I have no real experience with food. And that, like, I've all been a complete learning curve, as it was with coffee in the first place, I suppose. And so that's the first thing that we're doing. You know, we've got an outdoor area which is not yet finished. Right. Then there's an upstairs. If we really wanted, we could put.
Do you have the upstairs as well?
We don't, but there are flats. But if we wanted, we could.
Right, okay, you could put further,
we could put a kitchen in there, we could put anything in there. Yeah. Like, there's loads of cool things we could do. We could even put a mezzanine level in here if we wanted to. Yeah. You know, like we could open a coffee cart on like a train station platform. Yeah. We could, you know, there's so many really exciting possibilities. We could start doing barista training for the punters if they want to learn how to make coffee. Yeah. Like, like the possibilities are endless, and it's really hard to kind of bring yourself back down to earth and think, right, what actually makes logical sense as the next step.
Yeah.
And how long is it actually going to take? It's not going to take you a week. It's going to probably take you 6 months.
Yeah.
You know, and you kind of have to really ground yourself. And it's frustrating because you have all these mint ideas and you want to tell everyone about them, but you don't get to do them.
Yeah.
I will. Like, all these ideas that I have for the shop will get done.
Yeah.
They won't get done soon. I think that's the one thing I didn't expect to be so frustrating as a business owner, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've got all these different ideas, and they're all in different directions, I think.
Yeah.
And we need to just see where the natural flow takes us, I think.
There's that you've got to kind of follow the money, I guess, but without letting that contradict your belief
ethos.
systems.
Yeah.
Ethos, yeah, is a perfect word for it. Yeah.
It's like we started this shop as like we wanted to like help homeless people, right? But organically, in the last 18 months, we've become a bit of a community hub.
Yeah.
Like, there are loads and loads of really cool projects, really impactful projects happening in Middlesbrough. Loads of class charities.
Yeah.
And loads of really, really, really amazing people, like really inspirational people I didn't even think were present in this town.
Yeah.
And they use this place as a base.
Yeah.
And I kind of almost feel like we're going in a direction where our main, aim should be to help them, be a catalyst for them.
Yeah.
Help put people in contact with each other, maybe help people find out what funding they can get, or help people like advertise on social media. We've got loads of followers. Like, it'd be really cool to say like, oh, well, this month we're featuring, Friends of Nature's World, who are like helping to transform this really cool place.
Yeah.
Like, there's loads of stuff we could do, and I feel like maybe that's the direction that we're kind of drifting towards.
Cool.
Like, we've got this amazing group of people, like I said, who come in and they do really amazing stuff. And on the table next to them, there's a group of like everyday punters from the uni, and they have no idea what the amazing stuff that's happening on the table next to them.
Yeah.
And we could be this class place that connects the two.
Yeah.
That allows these amazing like kind of underground projects to be exposed to like the population as a whole.
Yeah.
And that as a concept really excites me, and I think that's something we could really help.
Yeah.
And arguably, if we did that, then we could help people to grow, help people to get volunteers and maybe a little bit of funding or a little bit of few donations. We could arguably create far more positive change than we are at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
So I'm in a bit in two minds, really. Like, there's so many cool things we could do, and like it's really like really have to like wrestle with the a lot of people, like business people in general. Like, these are guys that I've met recently, seem to be really decisive. They seem to do things really quickly, and they're like, boom, that's not working. Like 2 days afterwards, like, we're not doing that anymore. Or like, oh, this is a good idea, we're going to start that tomorrow. I'm absolutely not like that as a person. I don't know whether that is to my detriment or it's a benefit, but every single decision that we make here, I wrangle with it for a while. And I run it past people. I see what the customers think. I see what the staff think. I see whether it like sits well with me, like from an ethical point of view. So it's I'm not like, and we're not like, I don't think any other business, in the fact that it takes us longer to do things. But I think when we do make a decision, it does seem to be the right one at the moment.
I think some of it comes from ego in my dealings with plenty of people from Teesside business, UK business, whoever. The ones that perhaps aren't as successful as they could be, they're still probably more successful than me. So, like, take it as business advice as someone who doesn't own a business. But
I call this a business.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah. The people that kind of the more resistant, the decisive ones are more resistant to change because they have a goal and they're going to charge this much for this service that they provide, and they're going to can run at it. And there's definitely something to be said for that, for just having the the foolhardiness to just go, you know what I mean, and not stop. But you could be running in the wrong direction sometimes, and you can be trying so hard to do something when actually, like, all your customers, social enterprise business, whatever it is, are all just kind of like leaning towards this other thing. And if you just kind of take a step back and speak to a couple of people and think about it, you go, oh, well, actually, your vision for Off the Ground, like you say, has now turned into like a nice community hub. So if that's kind of what it's doing naturally and organically, like, it's a much easier path to go down. And you go, well, okay, I can kind of go over here and just like do these things. What's interesting about that is you and I had it on a much smaller level with the podcast, is that you've now created something that might be a bit. It's no longer just yours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now, like, and they certainly don't have ownership stakes in it, but they're like these people now have like a thing with Off the Ground, and all the cool people that I guess I've met recently. Jamie, who sometimes basically, if I fuck up the audio on a podcast, Jamie Donnelly will take it off me and make it sound loads better and give it back to me and put it out.
Oh, really? I didn't know he did that.
And
Jamie.
Yeah, he's a lovely lad. Be quite sure Loud's EP's out soon, a short video. It's going to be great. The EP is going to be great. I'm not just plugging my video, but yeah. But you know, when he'd messaged me, called on Facebook, we'd never met before, and he kind of said to me, "Yeah, let's meet Off the Ground." Thomas Smith, who does loads of great stuff for Mind Charity when he's not like flying to Brussels and talking to politicians and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't really know what he does for a living, but he kind of like.
I don't think he even knows really, to be honest.
I'm helping him out with some podcast stuff for Mind, which goes back to kind of like the charity stuff we were talking about. He was saying he knows that if they just invested a little bit of money, their impact that their podcast that they're trying to get off the ground would be far more than the cost of whatever it is. But I'm going to go down and speak to them and produce a podcast for them, and just give them a little bit of a lift, because that's powerful. And if I can help anyone out, I will. Yeah. But when he messaged me saying, "Hey, I got your number off Johnny Waters, blah blah blah. Can we meet up?" He said to me, Off the Ground, and you know, I could think of 10 other people that I've set up, whether it's a creative enterprise or whatever, have all said, "Yeah, let's like meet here." So yeah, you might have created a monster.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? So, something bigger. Because now I don't know where I'd go if you just went, you know what, fuck this, I'm going to go work for Barclaycard. I'd be a bit like, oh well, I don't really want to have my meetings in Starbucks, so yeah, I wouldn't really know where to go. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're completely right, and we're now owned by like our customers essentially. That's what it feels like. We have to make decisions based on what they
with
think
them in mind.
Yeah, exactly. And like we have such a like. I didn't realise before we opened this shop, like how regularly people drank coffee. Yeah. Like I did realise. Obviously, I opened the coffee shop, so I hope that it was. Like, people did drink coffee quite regularly, but Jesus, people come 2 or 3 times a day. Sometimes every day. Sometimes for a month. They're here every day.
Right.
You know, like, and it's crazy. And like, they are us. You know. And,
yeah.
But it happens in other coffee shops. Some other regulars are that regular.
Uh-huh.
But it seems like we have far more regular people in here than a lot of other places. Which is really, really cool. Yeah. And obviously they see something in here, so we see something in them, and we have to give them what they like.
They all seem to be quite progressive, nice people as well, generally. I can't think of the time when I've come in here and thought, I'm quite a good judge of character, I think. But, you know, I haven't had an interaction with every single person that I've walked in and spoken to, but generally, most people are kind of smiling, or they're working away, or they look like fun, interesting people, you know what I mean? So
we've been open 18 months, we've probably had 5 ever issues, really, ever, with anyone. Yeah, touch wood, Jesus. Yeah, like with like problem customers, people being rude, you know, like it doesn't.
Which you're gonna get anywhere.
Yeah,
you know
but in other places seems to happen like every day.
Yeah.
Like and the beauty of it is, if someone, I've done it before when a lady was rude to one of the members of staff. I just said, like, you know, look, if you're gonna be rude to my staff, then you can leave. Like, there's no place for that in here. So, you know, like in if you work in like Starbucks, like Ben can't say that, you know. To the customers. So that police is itself in general, and it's kind of an automatic filter where arseholes just don't come in here. Which is really, really like nice. But at the end of the day, if there are people like who are horrible, we can just get rid of them.
And it's like you say, it's nice to do that, because if you know you work in a call centre or wherever, and all you just get an earache, you know what I mean? You can't just be like, you know what, you dick, like, I'm going to turn your Virgin off or whatever. Like, Virgin, like, I talk about all the time.
You've done that before, haven't you? Oh, your internet's gone off, I'm afraid. I'm sorry, sir.
It's my only frame of reference for, like, the normal world, because I worked at Virgin for 4 months. So, people are probably sick of fucking hearing about it. So that's my example, basically. You know, like you were saying about MMA, I'd like... I know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and working at Virgin. They're my links to normality. Everything else I've just been winging for the fucking rest of my life. So yeah.
Snap.
Yeah. All good. Well, it's been a lot of fun. I think we've done almost an hour there. So
Have we?
yeah,
Class.
flies, doesn't it? Thanks
Yeah.
for doing this again. As I mentioned earlier, I know your time's quite precious, and I took up a lot of it last time, and then didn't put anything out. So, all good. So yeah, if you like good coffee, because that was the main thing that we kind of discussed before. You said you didn't want people to come out of like charity, basically. You wanted people to come because they enjoy coming here.
Yeah.
And if that X amount of the pound or whatever goes towards social change, all the more power for it, wasn't it? And that is something that I think you can be proud of, and something that does happen here. Like you say, you know, it's a good place to come. So yes, thanks for having me, I guess.
It's very kind of you. Thank
Anything you want to plug? Any websites, anywhere people can go to learn a bit more about social change, or?
Ooh. No, but I'll re-emphasise what I said earlier.
Yeah.
It's that podcast by TED Talk by Dan Pallotta.
Yeah.
Where we think about charities dead wrong. It just makes you think about charities and how they're a bit of a disadvantage, and not just charities, social enterprises and anything charitable compared to like for-profit businesses. So if you can, check that out.
And where can people find out about that Middlesbrough community fridge? Is that up and running yet?
Not yet. No,
Okay.
but it will be very soon. People are just getting DBS checked at the moment.
Right, cool. It's funny, I'm just envisioning a massive fridge. Like,
it's quite a normal size
in the high
fridge,
street.
to be honest. I wish it was massive, and I wish it was outside. But that will happen, I hope, eventually.
Okay.
But to start with, it will be in the Live Well Centre in the Dundas Arcade.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Upstairs.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Happy days. Cool. All right. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rick.
Cool. Anytime.
Do I have to join in now?
Do what you want. We've drank a lot of water. Bro.